chapter 44. What an amazing promise to make to all of mankind. Don't be afraid of death and dying, or worry about how things will be when you get to the other side, or how you'll find your way home. Trust me, I love you. I will come and get you myself. And there's a room next to mine in God's house with your name on it. Now, the powerful conviction and faith and love behind such a promise was not lost on me, nor was it lost on Michelle. She was comforted, as were I and the girls, partly because it put Michelle's soul at peace, and partly because of the promise itself. And that is the last full conversation that I had with my wife. Now, she was still verbal the next day, and she said a few words when she could, but by the following day, she no longer had the energy to speak. She would still open her eyes when she was awake, and I could hold her hand and ask her to blink, yes or no questions, to try to determine what she needed or if she was okay. Or I asked her to squeeze my hand a little bit if she could. She had a little bit of energy to do that, not much. But in that manner, we could still communicate, and it let me know that she was still there. And the day before she went home, I left her briefly in the loving care of her girls while I ran to Kroger's to get some fresh flowers. So from February 14th, 2018, right, Valentine's Day 2018, till now, she's never had a day without fresh flowers. And I wasn't about to stop then. So I got back and I put the new flowers in vases and took our dog Taz for a quick walk around the neighborhood. Taz is a schnoodle, right? And he'd been Michelle's dog since his birth in July of 2014. And he's an amazing little guy. He's right over here. He's just been chilling the whole time. And I trained him to do several tasks to qualify him under ADA as a service dog, which I don't know if you know that you can do that or not, but as long as they can perform the task, they have to be well behaved, obviously, and there's certain qualifying tasks, but if they're trained to do them, you can train them yourself. And I did. And he's an amazing little guy. And that made him not only extremely helpful to Michelle when she was sick, but it also allowed him to come see her when she was in the hospital. But the poor guy had only received the barest of attention while we cared for Michelle. And like the incredible little trooper he is, he never complained. Not once. He knew exactly what was happening. He'd watched his mommy go from healthy to dying. And he knew his job was best done right now by loving her quietly and from a distance. Somehow Taz always knows when I'm about to go get his harness. And this time was no different. And before I even came back with it, he was already at the door, wagging his little stubby tail in anticipation. I don't know how he does that. I told you he's amazing. So, I told you earlier that I've always had a knack for finding four-leaf clovers. And during our short walk around the neighborhood, I found 4 of them. And there's no special magic needed for finding them. The spread of their leaves just kind of makes them stand out more. And all you have to do is scan the clover patches as you walk, and usually you'll find plenty of them. As we got back to our yard, I found what I thought was another one, but when I went to pick it, I realized it had 5 leaves instead of 4. Now, I'd only found 5-leaf clovers on 2 occasions in my life before. And shortly after picking the first one, a huge truck blindsided me, completely totaling my vehicle. That could have been a whole lot worse, and it probably should have been. I was sore for months, but somehow I walked away from it. Somehow, amazingly. Now the second one I found I didn't pick, right? Because after the first one, I associated them with the kind of good luck that only comes with something bad accompanying it, like surviving being blindsided. And I didn't pick this one either, but I marked it with a twig that I stuck in the ground next to it and then went inside with Taz. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe that often there is more significance to coincidence than we tend to give it credit for. I keep my eyes open for those type of things. Some people call it synchronicity or whatever, but it's real. I keep my eyes open for it. And if you are aware, there's amazing things that you can see that you'll turn up that you would not have been able to see if you hadn't been looking, if you hadn't been aware. Anyhow, I digress. But curious as to possible meanings, I looked up 5-leaf clovers and if they were thought to symbolize something. And I learned that each leaf of the clover, each leaf is thought to represent a direction, an element, and a season, right? So each leaf, north, south, east, west, right? An element, earth, air, water, fire, and a season, summer, fall, winter, spring. So each leaf will have one of those things. So the category would be direction, element, season, right? Each leaf will have a direction, will also have an element, and will have a season. Each leaf has one of the, we'll have all three, but we'll have one of the 4 options for those things. Each leaf has to have a direction, an element, and a season. Each leaf has those 3 elements, right? And it will have one of the 4 qualities of that element. I hope that makes sense. So a 4-leaf clover is thought to be good luck because it has all 4 directions, all 4 elements, and all 4 seasons, and is therefore complete. Now, what I read next would give me chills. Direction, element, and season each have a 5th aspect that is represented by the 5th leaf of the clover. Direction, unity, element, ether, season, transition. Now I showed the girls where I'd marked the clover in the front yard, and I showed them the website that explained its meaning, and I told them about my past experience with 5-leaf clovers, and they were a little spooked by it, just like I was. And I asked if they thought if I should pick it or not, and they had no idea. Now, my sister was staying at our mom's for a few days at this time, so it had just been me, Michelle, and the girls that day. So later that night, after the girls left, it occurred to me that I'd found 4 4-leaf clovers representing me and the 3 girls, and a 5-leaf clover representing Michelle. And I reflected on the first 5-leaf clover I'd ever found and picked, and how that truck had just come out of nowhere. It was one of those situations where you look left, look right, nobody's coming. Pull out, bam! Out of nowhere. To this day, I don't know how that happened. Insane. But it did. So, and I thought, this was different than that, right? Because this time, the bad event was unavoidable, okay? Because Michelle was without question about to die any moment. So the good luck accompanied by a painful and hard event could only be a good thing this time. And with the dawning of this new insight, I quickly retrieved the 5-leaf clover from where I'd marked it and brought it inside. And I carefully spread its leaves on a sheet of printer paper next to the 4-leaf clovers from earlier. Then I covered them with a second sheet of printer paper and put the whole thing between the pages of a Baker family Bible that was given to me and Michelle on our wedding day by our dear friends Sandy and Margie Miracle. And as I write this, I just went and got the Bible from the bookcase where it sits as I wrote this initially. And it's still over there on the bookcase now. And I was looking at them right then, right, as I was writing this chapter. Direction, element, season, unity, ether, transition.